Hi, everybody. I am so happy you are here. Welcome in, welcome in. I got to start the Zoom, see if anybody's over there. And let's see what happens. Aha, here we go. Welcome, welcome. I'm going to bring everybody onto one streaming platform. I'm super excited, everybody. I just want to say, let me bring you guys all together. And I just want to point out that, if I can remember how to do this, I just want to point out the QR code in the corner on the StreamYard. That will be on YouTube as well. I'm so excited. That's a new feature. And I'm just thrilled about it. All right, so let's find out. Where is my Zoom? Let's share you guys and see if we're all here together. Yay, here we are. All right, so if you can see the QR code on YouTube, let me know. I'm going to try to add Facebook as well, just to see, logistics. Be patient, be patient. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. Here we are. Hello. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, if you can see the QR code, try to scan it and see if it works. It should take you to my website. Oh, I forgot to turn my light on. Hold on. I'll be right back. Look at my tarot. There we go. All right, now I can see. It's been a we're all going 90-0 today, right? So let's see. I want to say hi to Cindy P and Jeannie, and Debbie's usually here. Maybe she'll pop in. Gail, Wisdom Seeker, Vivian, Gina, stay tuned. Carol, Lori, and somebody test out that QR code. Let me know if it's working. Just want to go over this. My $49 special, I only have 2 spots left for October. If those sell out, I might open a couple more spots. That is for spiritual guidance and card pulls for a 30-minute reading. Scan the QR code. It's very fancy. Monday morning meditation for non-meditators will be happening Monday morning around 10:30 Eastern. Magical Mondays will happen Monday night with myself and Lady Shadow. We always talk about the Soul Twin Stars podcast from the Friday before, and today's podcast was about how science proves mediumship is real. And it's a pretty extensive, awesome, wonderful podcast. So if you're interested in that stuff, listen in. It's here on YouTube and all of the other platforms like Spotify. And if you want to learn mediumship at your own pace, I do have 2 books. All of those are linked below. One is a beginner's course. You can get paperback on Amazon or digital copy on my website. And the other is how to become your own medium. Same thing, half digital, half paperback. And here we go. Are you ready? Are you ready? Oh, it's working. Yay. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Hi, Aunt Jen. I will be live with Aunt Jen on Wednesday. Aunt Jen 888 is her name on YouTube. We'll be live Wednesday. I will be introducing her with all of our wonderful stories and introduction to what a wonderful healer she is. So, all right. Chapter 4. Any comments about it before we get started? It's pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy. So this chapter 4 shows us how the ego keeps us trapped by playing roles, whether as a victim, an aggressor, a rescuer, or even the special one. You probably all know people that play these roles. Society, and especially our families of origin, have dictated the roles we're in. Some of us play the role of scapegoat. Some of us play the role of the crazy one. Some of us play the role as the ghost child. These are all different roles we are trapped into playing, and the whole goal of making a new earth is to break out of those roles. They say it's like a facade or a mask, right? They may protect us, they may make us feel important, but they are blocking any authentic connection with ourselves and to others. So the author, Eckhart Tolle, explains real freedom comes when we become aware. So awareness is a big theme in this book. When you become aware of what's happening, and we talked about complaining and the ego and gossiping in the last chapter. Once you become aware of that, then you're open to become aware of the role you play and become more authentic, which is true freedom, absolutely true freedom. So we want to become aware, and then we want to step out of it. And then it's like, I was talking to one of my clients earlier. She may or may not be here. And we were talking about people pretending to be someone they're not and living a life. I was talking about, well, I don't want to go into specifics, but anyway, it's very important not to be pretending you're something different than you are. I'll just say that. And so that's what this chapter, we're talking about that thing that happened in Arizona. If that'll, it's okay. I'll text you later. So we must realize when we're acting from ego. Okay, so I have some comments in the chat here. The best line in the chapter on page 105 from Lori is, to love is to recognize yourself in others. Yeah, that's beautiful, because when we notice, if we have a challenging relationship with someone in our life, and if we can have enough compassion and or empathy, some people don't deserve empathy, but that's another story. I guess that's my ego, right? I need to reread my book.
Did you skip a page or something?
I'm being my authentic self, though. Being ornery. So when we can recognize that every person has a story, like, for example, I have a challenging relationship with my father. I think that's no surprise to anybody who's listened to me, had a dysfunctional family, et cetera, et cetera. But I recognized for many years that he had a pretty rough upbringing himself, which caused him to be put in a role in his family and caused him to have these certain ways of believing and acting and doing things, whether they were right or wrong. In my opinion, they were wrong, but he might think they're right. But I can see and have compassion for the fact that he is a person who really was just a kid himself when he started having babies and didn't have the tools or the skills to be a good father. He didn't have a good example of good parents, and he didn't become a good parent to me anyway. I can't speak for the rest of the family. But I didn't feel loved or accepted or any of that by him. But I have compassion enough to know why he became the way he became. Not that it's okay, because he could have learned and changed, but I don't hate him, right? I have compassion for him. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Hi, Karina. Vivian said, love chapter 4. I was able to link it to the people in my family, extended family, with every example given. Amen to that. Examples of how we shouldn't be living our lives. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Gail said, I found my notes that I took when Oprah had Eckhart on her. Yeah, I got this after he was on her show the first time, probably 15 or 20 years ago, something like that. I got this right after that. So yeah, lots of notes in here. All right. Any questions, comments else before we go to the bullet point list? Anything, anybody? I see lots of grinning. All right. So the chapter is role playing the many faces of the ego. So one bullet point, number one, the ego thrives on playing roles and identities to gain recognition, validation, or power. We see this in the public eye all the time. People are always playing roles. They're always putting on a facade. They're always pretending to be something they're not. And they identify so much with that role, they become dependent on that as if it's the blood in their veins. That's why you see famous people who may have been like dependent on their looks, and then they become, a woman will become 35 and then, she's too old to be in a movie, right? That's how Hollywood works. This is a generalized example. Okay. General example. I am not saying anything about that specifically. I'm just giving an example. But that woman may have identified with her beauty so much that when she stopped getting roles, that it was devastating to her because she didn't have anything else going on in her life that she was passionate about. So we have to have things that we're passionate about that aren't our identity. We can't be like, I think I talked before about a woman who had 5 kids and her entire identity is being a mom. It's all she did every second of the day for many, many years. She's had all these kids, which there's nothing wrong with having the kids you want. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the identification with the role of mother. That's all she was identified with. And now her kids are growing up and now things are going haywire because she had nothing else happening. Wisdom Seeker said, of course, isn't that the fake it till you make it philosophy? I think that's situational. I think that might be situational because in 12-step programs, they say that a lot, fake it till you make it, but I don't think they mean pretend you're someone you're not in that instance. I come from a family of addicts. My husband's a recovering alcoholic. Shocker that pattern continued for me. I know it's a big surprise. But they say fake it till you make it. But what I think they mean something very different from people who are pretending to be in a role of something that's not authentic to who they are. That's the latter is what I think they're talking about in the book. But that is a good point. All right. Any questions, comments, anything else? All right. Next bullet point. These roles are masks. They are not our true essence, and they create separation between ourselves and others. So as we go on pretending that we are, just a mom or just an actress or just a whatever, I was a teacher for a long time. I'm a teacher. There are people who just completely identify with their job and that's all there is to their personality. It's like, there's way more to us than that. We have many layers. We want to be, first of all, it's really hard to find. Oh, I got some feedback. Okay. It's really hard to find out who we really are. It's not easy because then you second guess yourself. Well, is that who I really am? Do we know, right? What do we know? What we know is what feels good to us that makes our soul and heart feel happy, satisfied, content, not pretending and putting on a show for other people. That's not reality. That's not who you really are. Okay. Any questions or comments? Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Examples of ego roles. Oh, I want to say one thing before we go to the next bullet point. I have to travel starting this Thursday coming up for several days. So I won't have my regular live next Friday night. And I probably won't have book club next week because I won't be able to because of all the traveling and stuff. So I know. I'll give you 2 weeks to catch up on chapter 5. I'll be helping my son with my granddaughter. So I'm thrilled about that. So no, I can't be doing book club with a baby crawling over me. That won't work. So I forgot to mention that earlier. Okay, so next. So we have roles: parent, spouse, boss, employee, teacher, nurse, mom, whatever, fireman, whatever it is. And then there are identity roles: victim, aggressor. Oh, Mandy, that's okay, honey. Victim, aggressor, rescuer, rebel, intellectual, spiritual seeker, etc. These are roles of other types of roles. Instead of parent, spouse, boss, it's like, I'm the victim. Oh my God, poor me. I'm sure we all know someone in the victim role. I'm glad you're here, Mandy. Stay tuned.
Yeah, and I think we really developed that, in high school, in junior high, it's really pronounced. And I think we learned that, definitely from our parents, because if you come from a family with 3 siblings or 4 siblings, like I'm the youngest daughter, but then there's always my older sister, being the perfect one. And I'm being the sporty one. And so it takes you through your 20s that way as well. And then you start to develop I'm the victim.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, definitely. And it's really pronounced when you start working.
Jeannie, that is an incredibly important point because it starts so young. And it also can start in our family of origin as well. You hear parents say, oh, you're going to be a doctor, or why are you such a brat? They can say positive and negative things, and all of those things can mold a child into their role. Parents, when they're saying positive things, don't realize sometimes they're molding their child into that. The negative things they shouldn't be saying. That's a whole other story for another therapy session. Mandy said she has a perfect older sister too. That's the first thing I thought. That's the first thing I thought of when Jeannie was talking, right? We all have different roles in our family, and those roles can shift and change. There are 8 siblings total in my family. Some half, some step. It's a whole mess, but we all were given a role, right? And sometimes the role can change as the family grows. It gets bigger and bigger, and those kids have kids, and da. And for example, the role of scapegoat. Anybody ever a scapegoat in their family? Yeah. It's your fault. You're the one. It's you did this. Now, it's interesting because that role can change over the years, right? Depending on the situation. Sometimes I'm the scapegoat in the family. Sometimes my sister's a scapegoat. Now I have a niece that's suddenly the scapegoat. It's like there's a lot of narcissism in a lot of families these days. So they've got to blame somebody. But then there are the victims in the family who are like, poor me, you're affecting me in these ways. And there can be a place for that kind of languaging, but it's not always appropriate. And I was talking to someone yesterday about this subject. Sometimes when we want to tell somebody something about how their behavior is affecting me in the following ways, you've all heard the scenarios. Stop and think, am I saying this to this person for me or for them? And that can be really hard because I'm a very fiery person and I used to say whatever, anytime, all the time. And as I got older and a little more mature, I realized, oh, I don't have to say everything that comes into my mind. There's a time and a place. And sometimes if it's just to feed my ego and make me feel better, I probably shouldn't say it. But if I think somebody really is putting themselves or others in harm's way, and if I can help them, then that's different. But I've learned to settle down, and that can really help. Aunt Jen loves that. Love, love, love. And Mandy's laughing. See, some people think I'm funny. Vivian said, being one of two kids in an Asian family, I felt obligated to take care of everything and everyone when my older brother caused havoc. Yes, because you're the girl in an Asian family, and usually all of that responsibility from the people I've been in contact with falls on the daughters. Yeah, and the sons, and that's not uncommon in families in general. The sons kind of have a little more freedom and the daughters get the responsibility. It's not terribly uncommon, but it's more prominent in certain cultures. Yeah, so you're the role, and you've probably been the scapegoat as well, Vivian, because if everything wasn't perfect, it was your fault. I'm sure you probably experienced that. All right, anything else on that point? Okay. Next is defensive roles, the know-it-all, the tough one, the martyr. All of these protect the ego's image. So I was blamed to be the know-it-all in my life just because I liked math and science, I guess. But I do like to share facts with people. So some of that might have been deserved, but I wasn't doing it to be smarter. I just like to share information. That's why I became a teacher. I wasn't doing it to boost my ego. I was doing it to share information, just FYI. Then there's the tough one, the one that never is vulnerable and always super strong and can take everything on. And the tough ones are the people who probably need the most love because they're never vulnerable and nobody ever asks them for help. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Wisdom Seeker. So if you have a tough one person in your family, ask them, if they just want to hang out, or unless they're a jerk, obviously. We all have the tough one in the family to some degree. And then the martyr, which is kind of like the victim. Oh, poor me. Everybody's against me. Everybody's against me. I'm sure we're all familiar with the martyr. Let me know if
That's where I come in. Because I'm a rescuer. Let me help you. But it probably comes off as disingenuous if it's not asked for. But I think I can fix everybody, make them okay.
It's interesting. I have a very good friend, Cindy, that was the same way for a long time. And she would help people because she wanted to be helped. She would love people because she wanted to be loved. And so sometimes people were put off by it, like, why are you overreaching? But her intention was good. It wasn't, she had no ill intent. She just wanted to be accepted and loved. And she wanted to be for the person she was trying to help. She wanted that for herself as well. So it wasn't like she was being selfish or, underhanded. She genuinely wanted to help because she wanted people to love her that way. So you just kind of have to put up boundaries and make sure every relationship's reciprocal. And that's what my friend I was talking about is going through right now. She's looking at the people who she has reached out to over the years and helped in so many ways. And she's like, okay, this person reciprocates. Okay, they can stay. This person, no, nothing. It's all for them. And they just take and take and take. So they got to go. They got to go. So you just have to look at the map of people in your life and say, okay, I only have so much to give. And it's not like, I'm not saying you should give to get. I'm not saying that at all. We just should be fair. Sometimes, like in a relationship, one spouse is giving 90% because the other one can only give 10. But then a week later, the opposite may be true, right? So if 1 week you're given 90 and she's given 90 the next week, right? There it goes back and forth. But in a relationship where it's like, I'm given 99 all the time, that's not okay. It doesn't even have to be a romantic relationship. It can be any relationship. Stay tuned said, been there. Yeah. So make sure when you're in any kind of relationship, a family relationship, romantic, friends, whatever it is, make sure everyone is sharing that freely, willfully, willingly, and fairly, because you don't want to over give, because then you have nothing left for yourself and then you're resentful. And that's a whole other can of worms, resenting people. And then you hold on and hold on and hold on. This happens with heterosexual couples a lot. The woman gets very resentful towards her husband because she's doing the dishes and the laundry and changing the diapers, and she's doing all of these things around the house and taking care of the bills and the taxes and blah, 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 making the doctor's appointments. And the husband's just like, oh, I don't know what to do. And then she resents him instead of saying, okay, listen, I'm going to tell him, here's the list. Do this. I need you to, there's 10 things that need to be done today. I'm going to do these 5, you do these 5, or you pick the 5 you want to do. Because sometimes he'll say, honey, I need help around the house. And he goes and trims the tree in the yard, right? That's not what you need right now. You need the dishes to be done. So it's that, and then the resentments build, but we have to take accountability for our own part in that and say, listen, this is the help I need. Then if they don't help, then that's a totally different conversation. Got it? Get it? Got it? Anything on that? Yes. Okay. Victim and persecutor cycle. People often unconsciously switch between being the victim and the aggressor. Both roles are ego-driven, feeding on drama, and keeping people trapped in unconscious patterns. Anybody experience this? Victim versus aggressor? Anybody have any comments on that? You want me to just skip over that part? Stay tuned said, that's why now when we raise our sons, we teach them how to help. Yes, stay tuned. I was very consciously aware of that because I think I talked about this on my live the other day. My husband wasn't taught how to do housework. His mother did every single thing his whole life, even until he went to college. And I was very resentful when my kids were younger because of that. And I taught, and later, we worked it out and all that, it's fine now. But I have 2 sons and I taught them how to do the laundry. As soon as they could reach that washing machine, they did their own laundry their whole lives after that. How to clean their bathroom, how to scrub the toilet, how to clean the shower, how to mop the floor, how to take out the garbage, do the dishes. Now, did they do all of those things when they were supposed to? Of course not. But they learned how to do all of them. And both their wives are very grateful for it now. So Vivian said, my brother played the victim and aggressor depending on the time of day. I knew there would be somebody in the audience with that situation. Yeah. Is he narcissistic, Vivian? He sounds like a real treat, that one. Yeah, your parents got sucked into the craziness. Yep, that's so sad. Yeah, their wives of tomorrow. Thank you. Yes. The ego needs to be special. The ego needs to stand out, whether through superiority or inferiority. And this is super important because, we lost Jeannie. This is super important. Just because somebody is in victim mode doesn't mean that they are not using their ego. You can totally identify with being the victim. You can be in victim mode and be like, poor me. And you're just as big of an egomaniac as somebody who has a superiority complex. I know they always say inferiority, but I also say superiority complex, because being the victim is a role. It's not, most of the time, you're not really the victim you're claiming to be. Some people are victimized. I'm not saying that they aren't. I'm saying roles in families, roles in friend groups. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying people aren't victims. I'm saying some people identify with victimhood in their family to a degree that it's just as much of ego as somebody who's, playing any other role in a family. Anybody have any? Stay tuned has her sister was the victim. Yeah. And the roles can shift and change over years. They can definitely shift and change. So even feeling victim is an ego strategy if it's self-focused. Poor me. Role playing in relationships, there are conflicts that stem from partners unconsciously acting out roles instead of being present. So when you identify so much with your role in a relationship, and this is also true, and I mention heterosexual couples because I am in a heterosexual couple, and that's the experience I have. So that's why I can't talk about it from any other position. That's the one I'm in. But that also happens. You have couples where the wife, like I was giving the same example earlier, I do everything. He doesn't do anything. Poor me. And I've been that person that played that victim role. But I had to take responsibility for the fact that, what did I do about it? I just let it happen. I have to take steps to make it better. Go to therapy, have a conversation, work it out, have a compromise. It's not okay to blame someone else who you haven't even tried to have the conversation with. Now, if you've had the conversation, if you've gone to therapy and all that, and it still is the same, that's a totally different story, and that you need to deal with. But if you took the steps to not be the victim and they changed, well, then that's much better, right? And we can always slip back into our old habits. So any comments on that part? Genuine connection comes when we step out of these roles and bring awareness into interactions. Just like I was saying, if you have any problem in any relationship, family, friend, partnership, anything like that, if you bring awareness to it and you bring it up, now, hopefully you're going to talk to an emotionally mature person, which isn't always the case. You should, with an adult that has awareness and compassion. They should be able to have a conversation and take some constructive criticism and realize, oh, okay, I can work on that, right? And you shouldn't have to be afraid to tell people things. If you can't tell someone that claims to love you something like, hey, can you help me with the dishes tonight? I just had a really busy day and I just can't get to everything. And if they're like, yeah, sure, no problem, I can do it, that's good. But if they're like, what the hell is wrong with you? You're lazy, blah, blah, blah. That's a totally different scenario. And you probably should think about that relationship. No matter what kind of relationship it is, family, friend, whatever.
Yeah, it's also how you word it, right?
Yes.
It's never like, okay, I need you to do A, B, C, and D. It's more, a conversation that you need to, be collaborative.
Yes. Yes.
To work together.
100% agree. 100% agree. That's another thing. When you play the role of, I'm going to be your mommy, even though I'm your wife, then you are mothering your spouse instead of treating them like an adult and having a compassionate conversation. That's a whole other set of problems, right? That's another book. That's another book. Hopefully, we're pretending we're all dealing with emotionally mature adults. We're just going to pretend when we know that's not the reality. Right.
That was Jeannie, by the way.
I figured.
Her phone died.
Oh, yeah, but that's a really good point. We don't need to be a jerk about it in the first place. Talk kindly and respectfully, and you don't give orders. I'm giving you an order. You say, can we, I'm not going to give any advice on what to say because somebody's going to come back and tell me that's not how you say. There's books about it. But we're talking about this book. Those instructions aren't in this book. But it is a good point. It is about the delivery. You don't want to give orders. I can tell you this, my husband, not a fan of being mothered by his wife. I learned that many, many years ago. And so I understand. But see, I didn't have a mom after I was 15. So, I'm just kind of flailing in life, kind of trying to figure it out. Like, all right, that's why we went to therapy so long. But that's another story too. But it's good.
We're going to have lots to read.
Yeah. Oh, I have so many books. I'm trying to debate on a shorter book next time, like Don Miguel Ruiz, like The Four Agreements. I should have started with this one.
I started that one. It's good read.
So good. So good. All right. So we should get out of the roles we're in. Think about, become aware of what role am I playing? I played a complaining victim for many years, and I have to realize I am not a victim and I need to stop complaining. Working on it. Okay. It's a work in progress. You don't read this book once and magically become a perfect human. That's not how it works. It's a constant battle. So don't be hard on yourself if you're not perfect after you finish the book. It's not, doesn't work that way. So just becoming aware and making changes little by little, as you can. The moment we notice ourselves slipping into a role, the awareness shines a light on our ego, shines the light on maybe I should think about that. This happened to me. I can't remember what the situation was. A couple weeks ago, I was judging someone in my mind, and I started to really think very negatively about something. And I could hear, I feel like it was my spirit guide. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, bringing awareness to me, saying, wait a minute, are you why are you judging that person? And it made me bring myself into awareness and be like, oh, okay. I'm judging that person because they make me feel insecure about something about me that I wish I could be. And that awareness just completely shifted my perspective. So once you notice you're judging or gossiping or playing a role or going from your ego in any way, shape, or form, it's just noticing it is the first step. Like, okay, I noticed that. You're not going to change it immediately. Just become aware of it. Okay. Got it. Good. Any questions, comments, anything about that? Okay. Next bullet point, by observing without judgment, we begin to disidentify from our ego roles and access deeper authenticity. And this is when I had a conversation with someone the other day about this very thing. When you're surrounded by, let's say you live in a small town and you're surrounded by the same group of people for years and decades, and everyone kind of plays the same roles for a very, very, very long time. It's really hard to break out of those roles if you're not collectively as a group changing together. So if you're the one person changing in a group of, say, 10 people in a family or friend group, and you're the only one changing, you're going to have a very hard time maintaining those relationships, or you're going to have a hard time changing because you can't do both. A great example, an easy example of this is when an alcoholic stops drinking, but all their friends still drink. They can't hang out with their friends while they're drinking if they're trying to stay sober. So either all the friends have to get sober together, or the one sober person has to leave the group. It's the same thing when we start awakening to our ego, to our judgment, becoming aware of the roles we play. We can't just stay stuck in a dysfunctional group and let the same roles keep playing out. It won't work. It won't work. I'm not saying don't love your friends and family if they're not reading A New Earth. I'm not saying that. I'm saying as you go through a change of, oh, I'm not going to put up with this kind of treatment by these people. I'm not going to engage in gossip. I'm not going to play the victim in this role where this person's playing the perpetrator. As you start to become your more authentic self, you will either step out of that group more regularly because you won't allow yourself to be put in that role anymore, or you will just go back and revert back into the same role and keep repeating the same behavior. I'm not saying anybody's bad for any of this. I'm not putting anybody down or judging anybody. I'm just saying you can't be changing and stay in the same group of people who aren't changing with you. It won't work. You're either going to stay unchanged or you're going to move out of that group of people. Does that make sense? Is that crazy? Earth Steward said, hello, Earth Steward, and welcome. The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz is a wonderful book. Yes, simple wisdom, but not necessarily easy to do. Yes, very much so. Wisdom Seeker said, I agree wholeheartedly. This unit does not serve you. Move on to grow. Yes. Liberating AF. Very liberating, Annie. Hi, I'm glad you're here. It is very liberating. It's very hard. Whenever you go on an interpersonal journey or a spiritual journey, it's like sometimes you feel like you've been run over by a truck because you realize you can't you kind of feel out of place with the people who are still in the same roles. And it's really hard because you love the people who've been in your life. You love, let's say you have a friend group and they're just not, it's like, I came up with a perfect analogy. If you went to middle school with a group of friends, and then you all went to the same high school, and by the end of 9th grade, first year of high school, all of you are in different friend groups. It's kind of like that. Like you're growing and changing, so you don't fit the roles in that group anymore. Does that make sense? You can't stay stuck in one place if you're going to grow. You're just going to move around. Seasons change, seasons come and go, right? I'm not saying to anybody to hate your friends or hate your family or preach to them. When I started my spiritual journey and my interpersonal journey, I wanted everybody to change at the same rate as me. And I was very frustrated because they did not listen. The first book I read that was a big eye-opener was The Celestine Prophecy by James Redfield. I think it's Redfern, something like that. The Celestine Prophecy, super famous book. And I was trying to get everybody to understand it every second of the day. And it was in the 90s. So like there was no internet or anything. So it was very frustrating that people weren't getting what I was saying. Right. And then later I'm like, oh, they don't have to get it. It's not their time to get it. They'll get it later. Or not. Doesn't matter. It's not my problem. I'm just going to love everybody. Earth Steward said, friends, some are for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Yes, that's true. Wisdom Seeker said, shocking. Okay. So any questions, comments, anything about chapter 4? So let's contemplate. Reflection questions for you guys. You don't have to answer now, just something to think about. I have 3 questions. What roles do you notice yourself slipping into most often? The next question, have you ever caught yourself acting from ego in a relationship? And what shifted when you became aware of it? And last question, how might your interactions change if you approach them without a role, but with presence? And that's what the goal is. Be present and in the moment. Be present and in the moment. And don't act from ego. Okay. Wisdom Seeker, to your point. Yes, it can be shocking. It definitely can be. Any questions, comments, anything? If you enjoy this content, you haven't already subscribed, I appreciate any subscribers, any members, anything of that sort on YouTube. And I'm super happy that the QR code works up in the corner. That's the QR code to my website. All of my services are there. I have a $49 special for spiritual guidance readings right now. There's only 2 spots left. And then all my other offerings are on the website as well. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of
Real
course.
quick?
Yes.
So Jeannie and I were just talking about like she mentioned she's becoming the mother to her mom because she's elderly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been seismic to switch
Mm-hmm.
roles. And so they both had to get used to, like, why are you telling me what to do? Or why? And she became bossy. No.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that. And we talk about this all the time because I didn't have that because my parents both died when they were really young. So I don't know what that's like. I was always parented and because I was the special one. But I don't know how you get out of that because
because you don't want to be in that role.
Right. So are you
You have to
are
respect
you
it, though.
are you her caretaker, Jeannie?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
You
And that's
probably
something
won't get
to-
out of that role if you're her caretaker, unfortunately.
I mean, she lives in a community place, but
Mm.
she has to make sure she's doing.
And I tried to fight, the beginning, I tried so desperately to fight that role. Even though my older sister was pushing me to be in that role. But now I'm starting to accept it and look at it as mom, as a person, not really mom,
Mm-hmm.
but somebody together to go through life together that kind of help ease her stress, because she is getting older and it's stressing her out because her role is changing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just working together to
You know,
ease
that's-
into those roles.
That's the Asian in her.
I want to make a point about this though, because the role you're playing as mothering your mother is not the role of a facade that the book is referring to. The role the book is referring to is taking on a role assigned to you as like a victim, or as the great one in the family, or the best one, or the good one, or the bad one, or the scapegoat. So I think the role you're taking on isn't of ego. This is something for you have to be responsible for your mom for specific reasons because she's elderly. It's not a fake role you're taking on.
No.
It's a natural progression
Right,
of things.
right.
The way it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I wouldn't hold
to
your
be.
I wouldn't hold yourself like accountable for being that's not from an ego state. Roles from an ego state are very different from what you're going through. What you're going through is unfortunately necessary.
Yeah.
And not because now I will say there are people who become caretakers who do turn that into a facade. That's a totally different thing, but I don't think that's what you're saying at all.
No, I think my sister.
Yeah. Earth Steward said, this is a great comment. Just keep meeting her where she is with your heart open. You will cherish these days. Earth Steward's mom passed 3 years ago this Sunday. So that's a beautiful sentiment. Yeah. So it is challenging as our parents get older. My son is 26. He's been telling me for 5 years he's wanted to put me in an old folks home. And I'm like, please do, so I don't have any responsibilities. I'd be happy to be taken care of 24 hours a day.
I know, right?
Yeah. I'm like, you pay for it, I'll go. No problem.
Play balloon volleyball all day.
Yeah. I'll sit and play and color all day long. That's fine by me.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Gail. Yeah, so you're doing something good for your mom, and yeah, that's just unfortunately the progression, right? We're all moving toward entropy. That means we're all moving towards breaking apart little by little, atom by atom. It's a
Lovely.
it's a physics term.
No wonder I feel so tired.
Well, it has been lovely sharing this time with you. We will be off next week for book club chapter 5. 2 weeks from today or tomorrow, I will post about it. Thank you all for joining. And if you're watching the replay, thank you for enjoying this.
Thank you.
Good night. Love and peace to all. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. I will see you Monday for Monday morning meditation.
Okie dokie.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.